call at the Met Council meeting, March 24th, 2021. As we start this meeting, it is always important to acknowledge that it is virtual by the executive order from the governor, and we're doing it under Minnesota Statutes Section 13D.021. If you're attending from the public and would like to make a comment, please feel free to email public.info@metc.state.mn. Everybody does such a great job in this virtual format. No instructions are required, but in terms of calling the roll, Liz is back, and I think she's here. Yes. She's ready to call the roll.
All right. Atlas Ingebretson. Barber.
Here.
Chambliss.
Here.
Cummings.
Here.
Ferguson.
Here.
Fredson.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Thank you. Lee.
Here.
Lilligren.
Here.
Lindstrom.
Here.
Musse. Sterner.
Present.
Bento.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Zurin.
Present.
Cherzelli.
I'm here. That is a quorum. And now the approval of the agenda. We don't need a vote. If there is no amendments or concerns about the agenda, I will consider it approved. The next order of business is approval of the minutes, and that is from our meeting on March 10th, 2021.
This
May I
is
have a
Sterner.
motion?
Sterner approves the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Vento seconds.
Thank you, Sue. Any discussion? Hearing none. Liz?
Barber.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Atlas Ingebretson says aye.
Oh, thank you. Chambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Sterner.
Aye.
Bento.
Aye.
Wolf.
Abstain since I wasn't there.
Okay. Zurin.
Aye.
Cherzelli.
Aye. The minutes are approved. And on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
Move by Lee.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Lee. Is that a second I heard?
Ferguson.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? Hearing none. Liz, you may call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson.
Aye.
Barber.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Sterner.
Aye.
Bento.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Zurin.
Aye.
Cherzelli.
Aye. That motion carried. Now we're on to the reports of the standing committees. There's no report from community development. There is a report on the consent agenda for the environment committee. And next is the management committee. Councilmember Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have two business items. The first business item is business item 2021-58, award of the Southwest Corridor Light Rail Grant Anticipation Notes within established parameters, resolutions 2021-7 and 2021-8. The Southwest Corridor Light Rail Transit Project is being funded by both local partners and a Federal Transit Administration FTA grant executed by the Council in September of 2020. The local partners have fulfilled the majority of their funding commitments. Under the grant agreement with the FTA, the Council will receive grant payments on a reimbursement basis over the next 10 years. Because the actual project expenses will be concentrated in the next 1 to 3 years, interim cash flow financing is needed. In November of 2020, the Council approved the cash flow financing plan, which includes Council issuance of a series of grant anticipation notes, or known as GANs, to provide the interim funding needed for the project expenses. A first GAN issuance was completed in December of 2020 for a total of $125.6 million. The cash flow provided by that issuance is projected to be exhausted in May. This business item proposes the planned second issuance of GANs, which will provide $435 million of cash flow funding and is projected to fund the project expenses until early 2022. This debt will be repaid with future grant payments. After surveying potential underwriters who may bid to purchase the GANs, our financial advisor recommends that GANs be structured in two series. One series will have maturities ranging from 1 to 4 years, and the second series will have maturities ranging from 5 to 8 years. The split into two series will allow investors to bid one or both series and targets both short-term and intermediate-term investors. This flexibility for investors will ensure broad bidding participation and the lowest interest rates possible. Proposed resolutions 2021-7 and 2021-8 authorize the issuance of the two GAN series, define acceptable financial parameters for the terms of the notes, and allow staff to forward the sales of the notes to the lowest bidder within those terms. Both series must be issued within 90 days, and the total issuance of both series combined cannot exceed $436.5 million. Series B cannot exceed 2%, and Series C cannot exceed 2.5% interest rates. The expected interest rate cost is 0.75% to 1.25%. The financing action supports the Thrive Lens outcome of stewardship for providing low-cost capital funding for the Council's projects. Mr. Chair, the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council adopt Parameters Resolution 2021-7 and 2021-8, which authorize the issuance, sale, and award of double obligation debt within established financial parameters, the incurrence of related issuance expenses, and the execution of necessary documents to secure the financing.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Johnson seconds.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Those are low rates. Any discussion? All right, Liz, you may call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Bredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. Councilmember Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The second business item that I have is business item 2021-59, award park bonds and wastewater refunding bonds within the established parameters. Resolutions 2021-9, 2021-10, and 2021-11. Approximately annually, the council issues bonds to fund the projected cash flow needs of our divisions for the subsequent 12 months. Currently, the new bond funding needed is $6 million for parks. This includes the parks capital budget and the parks reimbursement program. Metro Transit Environmental Services do not need bond funding at this time. The park bonds will be done in 2 series and will be paid with property tax levies. In addition, the low interest rate environment provides the opportunity to refinance 3 outstanding wastewater bond issues and realize significant future interest cost savings. Refunding these outstanding bond issues totaling $104 million is projected to save about $1.5 million annually and about $12.7 million in total in interest costs over the next 12 years. The debt will continue to be paid from wastewater system revenues. The proposed resolutions authorize staff to award the sale of the bonds to the best bidder within specific parameters. Resolution 2021-09 for parks tax exempt Series 2021D states that bonds must close within 90 days, cannot exceed $3.1 million, and must not exceed 2% interest. Resolution 2021-10 for parks taxable series 2021E states that these bonds must close within 90 days, cannot exceed 3.1 million, and cannot exceed 2.25% interest rates. Resolution 2021-11 for the wastewater refunding series 2021F states that the bonds must close within 90 days, cannot exceed 104 million, and must realize a minimum of 3% in interest cost savings as required by council policy. These financing actions support the Thrive lens outcomes of sustainability and stewardship, as issuing general obligation bonds is efficient and cost-effective funding to preserve capital infrastructure, and refunding bonds results in future interest cost savings. Mr. Chair, the proposed action is the Metropolitan Council adopt the 3 parameter resolutions 2021-9, 2021-10, and 2021-11, which authorize the issuance, sale, and award of general obligation debt within the established financial parameters, the issuance of the related issuance expenses, incurrence of the related issuance expenses, and the execution of the necessary documents to secure the financing.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Johnson seconds.
Thank you, Councilmember Cummings. Any discussion? All right, Liz, let me call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
and Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. Thank you, Management Committee. And on to the Transportation Committee. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 5 items for your consideration this evening. So, Mr. Chair, council members, business item number 2021-50 is an incoming funding grant from the Dakota County Regional Railroad Authority for the Metro Orange Line BRT capital project. The Metro Orange Line is fully funded through a federal grant and an annual and annual capital grant agreements from partner counties. The proposed grants will enable $2.23 million from Dakota County Regional Railroad for capital project activities to implement the Orange Line BRT project. These funds are included in the Council's authorized capital program upon agreement execution. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to apply for, negotiate, and execute capital grant agreement 21I013, providing $2,230,109 from the Dakota County Regional Railroad Authority for the Orange Line BRT project.
Great. Is there a second?
This Turner, I would second that.
Thank you, Phil. Any discussion? All right, Liz?
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, council members, business item number 2021-51 is an incoming funding grant from the Hennepin County Regional Railroad Authority for the Metro Orange Line BRT capital project. This is the Hennepin County Regional Railroad Authority companion to the item just presented. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to apply for, negotiate, and execute capital grant agreement 211012 or 21I012, providing $8,040,000 from the Hennepin County Regional Railroad Authority for the Orange Line BRT project.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Chambliss seconds.
Thank you, Councilmember Chambliss. Any discussion? All right, Liz?
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, council members, business item number 2021-52 is regarding Network Next arterial BRT expansion recommendations and naming the Metro F, G, and H lines. Following extensive technical analysis and engagement through the Network Next planning process, staff presented recommendations for the Metro F, G, and H lines on Central Avenue, Rice and Roberts, and Como, Maryland, respectively. These recommendations follow a robust process that included multiple rounds of community input and feedback, along with ongoing engagement with regional stakeholders. Council actions on these recommendations will establish priorities for the F, G, and H lines, allowing for funding to be pursued, advancement of project development, and coordination with local infrastructure projects. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the recommendations for arterial BRT expansion resulting from Network Next, naming the Metro F line, Central Avenue, G line, Rice Roberts, and H line, Como, Maryland.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Vento seconds.
Thank you, Sue. Any discussion? Yes, Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know many of you have heard me praise our staff on this item several times before, but the amount of work that they were able to do to advance the RTO BRT program during the time of COVID-19 is very, very impressive. And it's so nice that we have plans going forward. And when you start looking at the maps, you're starting to see a real connected network, and you can see the impact that this planning is having on the region. So thank you to our staff.
Thank you for those comments, and it is the future. A lot of work into this resolution. All right, Liz, you may call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye, that motion carries. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, council members. Business item number 2021-69, same week, is to request for the council to authorize the regional administrator to award and execute contract 19P385A with ASC Acquisition Company DBA Albrecht Sign Company for the fabrication and delivery of station pylons for BRT and enhanced bus stops at a cost not to exceed $2,010,710 with options for future purchases. The pylon is a signature BRT station marker with the capability to provide real-time transit information. It's purchased by the council and provided to the construction contractor for installation. The new finished goods contract will include a base funded order for 70 pylons and 2 horizontal signs, plus future options for up to 231 additional pylons and 6 additional suspended horizontal signs over a 5-year contract horizon. The base order consists of 68 pylons and 2 suspended horizontal signs for the D line and 2 pylons for enhanced bus stops on Lake Street at I-35W. The IFB was advertised on January 22nd, 2021. Bid opening was held on February 23rd, 2021. Of the 2 bids received, Albrecht Sign Company was selected as the apparent low bidder. The Office of Equal Opportunity did not send a DBE goal for the contract. Upon procurement, Albrecht Sign Company was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder and is being recommended for the award. Pylon installation will occur through the D-line construction package, which includes a 15% DBE commitment. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to award and execute contract 19P385A with ASC Acquisition Corporation, DBA Albrecht Sign Company for the fabrication and delivery of station pylons for BRT and enhanced bus stops at a cost not to exceed $2,010,710 with options for future purchases.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Wolf seconds.
Thank you, Wendy. Any discussion? Councilmember Barber.
Thank you. You're probably tired of hearing me talk, but I just wanted to say, if we look at what we have, the actions we've gone through tonight, and this one will be the next one, we've made significant actions on the orange line, F line, H line, and now the D line. So it's, these are some big things when we look at sort of our transit planning into the future. So it's a big night for the Transportation Committee.
Well said. All right, Liz, please call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin, Zurin,
Aye.
and Chair Zelli.
Thumbs up. Aye. All right, that motion carried. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you. One more. Mr. Chair, council members, business item number 2021-70, same week item, is to adopt the federal performance measure targets as required under MAP 12 and the FAST Act. MPOs are required by federal law to adopt targets. MPOs have the option to either plan and program to support the statewide targets adopted by MnDOT or set quantifiable targets that are specific to MPO planning area. MnDOT adopted targets October 1st, 2020, and we must adopt our targets by March 30th, 2021. Similar to past years, this action recommends the following. We concur with the adopted MnDOT pavement and bridge interstate performance measure targets and non-interstate bridge target. Set targets specific to the metro area as shown in the attachment for non-interstate pavement in good and poor condition. Set targets specific to the metro area as shown in the attachment for the system reliability performance measures. This is due to the significant difference between reliability within the metro area and greater Minnesota, and concur with the MnDOT congestion mitigation and air quality performance targets. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the pavement and bridge conditions, system reliability, and CMAQ performance measure targets.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second by Sterner.
Thank you, Councilmember Sterner. Any discussion? All right, Liz.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye, that motion carried. Thank you, and thank you for taking all those really important votes for all that great committee work. We're on to two more. This is other business, and it really relates to appointment to the MPOS Commission. This is the Metropolitan Parks and Open Space Commission, and this is filling 5 open commission seats that came up due to expirations of the terms. Includes representatives from council geographic districts A through D and the at-large seat. You know, MPOS is, as you know, helps the council develop a long-range policy plan, reviews park and trail master plans for consistency with these policies, and additionally, they review and advise the council on acquisition and development program and includes funding priorities for regional parks and trails. And I see Councilmember Atlas Ingebretson has been so engaged with MPOS and rightfully feels proud of their great work. So these are important, and we had a lot of applications, and we promoted these openings. I think many of you did, other communication channels, other partner organizations. So we had 30 applicants, all excellent. And I want to especially thank Councilmember Atlas Ingebretson, but also MPOS member Todd Kemery, Eric Weiss from the Trust for Public Land. They all served as a nominating committee. That was a lot of work. You reviewed applications, they did final interviews, and then they're making recommendations to me, which I was very happy to accept. So, is there a motion to approve business item 2021-64, the Metropolitan Parks and Open Space Commission appointments of Tony Yaruso, Monica Dillenberg, Bob Moeller, Kana Yang, and Asata Brown to the impasse for a 4-year term ending January 1st, 2025.
So moved. Atlas Ingebretson.
Is there a second?
Move, second,
second.
Ferguson.
Thank you, Councilmember Ferguson. Any discussion? Linnea, do you want to add anything?
Chair, I'd love to. The outcomes of this last effort to recruit and add commissioners to Metropolitan Parks and Open Space Commission is, to me, a huge resounding success. And I want to highlight that we have, for the first time, 55% BIPOC commission, and 11% of our participants are those with living with different ability levels. 44% are female, and 44%, I'm pretty sure, are under the age of 40. And we have a good representation of different generations on MPOS. That I chalk up to the efforts of everybody on the council being willing to share and spread the word. A lot of effort went out into reaching different groups and talking about the value of this work and helping people understand how it connects to parks, demystifying, if you will, the difference between local, regional, state, and others. Parks are parks to people. And also really want to shout out to our staff, to Katie Driscoll and to Emmett Mullen, for being really flexible and being willing to change when we recruit the timeline so that it's not happening over the month of December. And so I think just some really good takeaways for how we can actually work to make meaningful inclusion and increase diversity and inclusion on our commissions, boards, and other committees. And as you said, I want to also recognize and thank Tom and Eric for their time doing this. It sometimes can take a lot, and we were recollecting back to last year when we were still sitting at a table, and it was about this week last year, and the next week everything shut down, and so it was a big change in how we went about doing things, but we're still making work happen all the time. I also want to just ask all of us to keep Tony Russo in our thoughts. Tony has been just a gift to the commission. He is really just amazingly able to recall and think at great detail about all of our work. And it seems like every single park in the metro area, he understands and knows the boundaries and the contents of. I'm not sure how, but Tony suffered a loss in the last 2 weeks. And I just want to just recognize him for his service and his commitment. He was willing to continue on as chair. As a young person in our community, he's really been a gift to us all. And so if people can keep Tony in their thoughts, we'd really appreciate it. And he is continuing with us. So thank you for allowing me to share a few thoughts about this work.
Well, thank you, and I really appreciate your sharing that information. And kudos to you and Tony and Eric and Tom. I mean, for the great result. You know, the great outcome. Because it's one thing to be talking about these goals, it's another thing to actually achieve them, and so that'll make a difference. So great work. Any other comments, questions? If not, we're ready to take a vote. So Liz, please call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson.
Aye.
Barber.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. Well, that motion carried. We're on to item 2021-76, which is the co-chair appointment to the Equity Advisory Committee. We really had great fortune to talk about this committee and to hear from this committee. And now we are actually filling a position currently held by Nalima Sitata Munenya. We all know Nalima because of her visits to our committee, and she is resigning. So everybody knows the EAC advises the Met Council on its work to advance equity. After notifying the committee of an opening, the co-chairs reviewed 2 letters of interest from the current members, and the current co-chairs reviewed the applicants' information in view of the evolving role of the EAC, and they made their recommendations to me, which I was happy to accept. I want to just especially call out another thank you, which we have to her directly, but wonderful work of Nalima, and her tireless and dedicated service. She really did put a lot of time and passion into this work. And thank you, Francisco, for being a co-chair with her. And thanks to the whole committee for their work and their continuing work, because that'll be more for us to engage with in the months and years ahead. So it's my pleasure to offer this, to ask for a motion to approve the appointment of Leah Goldstein Moses as co-chair of the Equity Advisory Committee for the remainder of the original 4-year term ending January 1st, 2022.
Mr. Chair, if I may second that motion.
Yeah, you can make the motion, and then
I'll
I'll ask for a
make the
second.
motion. Thank you.
And then I'll ask for a second.
I'll
Wolf
second.
seconds.
Second.
Thank you. And Francisco, do you want to add anything to this?
Yes, thank you.
Your passion.
Yeah, and I just want to say that you might recall that Leah co-chaired the presentation of the EAC's report last year with Nalima, and she has been part of the EAC, I believe, since the creation of the EAC 4 or 5 years ago, and she has been a great asset to the committee, and she brings a lot of experience in community building, and her contacts across the region are great. So we thought that she would definitely bring the sets of skills that we think we need at this point as the EAC moves forward to working with the council on equity issues. So in brief, I think she will definitely do an excellent job and will help us move forward with all the many projects that the EAC is involved with in the near future. So really excited about this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Francisco. Sounds like we're in really good hands, and you have a good partner. Any other discussion, questions? Not, Liz, please call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson, Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
thank
Sorry.
you. Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. Well, that motion carried. On to our final information item for the day. It is on the Metro Orange Line project and presented by Charles Carlson and Derek Ruby. And I have to say, I have seen this project from all sides as a citizen, from MnDOT and now from Met Council. It is the end is in sight, and it's very exciting to hear this update. So I've been looking forward to it. So we're going to hear from Charles and Derek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the presentation gets pulled up here, I just want to echo what has been said so far today, and Councilmember Barber also touched on all the different projects coming together to make our region much more connected. And today I'm just here to give a little bit of insight on what's going on with Orange Line. So as soon as the presentation pops up, I'll begin.
Must be a big file. It's still working on it. Derek, did we lose you? We lost the.
I am still here. Yeah.
You're still there. Good.
There we go.
There it is. It's up.
Perfect. Excellent. So again, thank you, Chair and Council members. Very excited to be here to share this presentation today. I did give it to the Transportation Committee, and it was well received. So I'm hoping that the rest of the council gets to enjoy the presentation as well. Some images that you can't see as you're driving by, and looking forward for what's to come. So next slide, please. So as many of you know, Orange Line is a 17-mile bus rapid transit corridor that runs down the 35W corridor to Burnsville, connects to downtown Minneapolis with all-day frequent service. It's a fully funded $150 million project, and current construction completion is just around 70%. So the project is moving quite quickly recently, although it started off slowly as part of the large 35W at 94 project that the chair had mentioned earlier. So something we're very excited about, and I'll break down a little bit of the construction here. Next slide, please. So many of you that have been through south of downtown within the last 4 years, roughly, there's been a large MnDOT project that Chair Zelli mentioned at his time while at MnDOT, but that project also has multiple Orange Line items within it and features. So one of them is this new, as shown on the right here, 12th Street bus-only ramp into and out of downtown Minneapolis. So that ramp itself will connect to the Mark II corridor with its own contraflow lane to get quick in and out of downtown service, not only for Orange Line, but for all transit operations that enter the city from the southern area. So in addition to that, there's also a Lake Street station, which I'll touch on here in just a little while as part of that big project. Then the other two contracts that we have out are the Knox Avenue underpass, which will be a transit only tunnel underneath 494 near Best Buy headquarters, just west of 35W. In addition to the transit tunnel, there is also bike and ped connections that connect an area that's fairly underserved for the bike and ped community, but that'll connect Richfield and Bloomington. And lastly is the Orange Line stations, which is the stations that our riders will utilize to get on and off of our Orange Line buses. So next slide, please. So this slide I like to show, and I know Charles does as well. The right side is what our bus stop used to look like at Lake Street and 35W. The top one looking up towards the 35W level, and the bottom one looking down to Lake Street. As you can see, it's very inaccessible. It was way past its useful life, and also not safe. The riders that would be sitting along 35W up in that little shelter up in the top didn't have much protection from the traveling public on 35W. So the left side, the top, shows some of the renderings of what that Lake Street station was planned to look like during construction. The top left one is more as you're driving northbound on 35W. The right one is as though you're standing inside of the vestibule area waiting to get on a bus that would be in the facility itself. The image on the bottom shows what present construction was a few weeks ago out there. You can see crews installing the glazing on the facility, the glass, and they're actually in the the piece of equipment that's sitting on future northbound. So the vehicles on the top left is roughly where those workers are sitting and working on installing the glazing for our facility. Next slide, please. So again, here just kind of a time lapse with this slide and the next one as well, showing what has occurred over the last year out there at the Lake Street Station, because things have been moving quickly. So the image on the left is a crew with a bidwell setting the concrete for the actual bridge itself. Now this is our transit bridge that all our buses will operate out of. And the image on the right is a few workers using the chute to get concrete in and vibrating it down into place into all the steel out there that will hold up our facility. So next slide. Here is an image of roughly the same area as best as we could get from what's out there now, looking at the overnight deck pour to what we see today. So you can really tell a lot of work has gone in. The image on the right shows facing towards downtown. The right side of that is where all northbound transit buses will access the facility. On the right side is where people will board going into downtown, and on the left side is where people that are leaving downtown will board. And the left image just shows a little closer up view of what that loading area will look like when our riders are out there. Ultimately, there will be some real-time sign information out there and just some more amenities that our riders are used to seeing. Next slide, please. So here is a few different snapshots of what the Lake Street level looks like. On the left side, that would be as a rider or passenger would be coming up into the 35W level. So if you're using the stairs, you're able to get up there that way to get onto a bus. Or on the right side, you can see on the left half of the right side, you can see the elevator pit that's running up to the 35W level. But you can also see the grand staircase that will bring riders up. As you're walking up that staircase, if your ultimate goal is to go northbound, you would take a right at the top of that staircase and wrap around roughly to the image on the left. If you're looking to go southbound, you'd take a left at the top of that staircase, and it would bring you around to the southbound side. So that again is Lake Street level. The plaza space that's being built down there is over an acre in size. It's much larger than what we had before down there. On Lake Street, you can, if you recall, it was a small little bridge down there, but it's more of an inviting space with a connection to the greenway. So riders, bikes, peds that use the greenway will be able to head right up that location and get into our Lake Street station that way as well. So next slide, please. So this image I wanted to share a little bit. Now we're moving on to down the line a little bit to the Knox Avenue tunnel underneath 494. So this image on the left was taken in the summer of 2020. This was at the time where we were building that north half. And as I mentioned before, we're building the transit tunnel, which will be for transit vehicles as well as bike and ped underneath 494. We'll have a station right outside of Best Buy headquarters, as well as another one right in the Penn American District down in Bloomington. So utilizing this tunnel itself will actually save 10 minutes from our current routing around 76 to 82nd, which we're currently doing now. So a big time save, not only for our riders, but for our buses as well. And it's also built to accommodate future conditions that are planned at the 35W and 494 construction area. So when that one starts construction with a MnDOT project, there won't be any impact to our service here. With this tunnel, we'll be able to utilize what we built. So the left side again is the summer of 2020 construction, and it shows what crews were doing last year. And the image on the right shows a final condition looking south towards Bloomington. Next slide, please. All right, the image on the left here again shows more of that construction of the northbound that was happening last year in 2020. But I also like to show the top right image, which is a little bit smaller, that shows that north half of the construction complete. So if you've been down in that area, you'll notice now that you're driving on, if you're heading eastbound, you're actually driving on old westbound 494. And westbound 494 traffic has actually moved to the north half of our tunnel that we constructed in 2020. So what that's doing is that's allowing our contractor to start work on the south half, and that's what they're doing currently. Originally in the plans, and talk about coordination and communication between groups, MnDOT had required us to put traffic back to its original state through the winter. With the current pandemic and items going on with traffic levels being lower, MnDOT allowed us to keep it in that temporary condition through the winter, which ultimately allowed our contractor to do more work through the winter. They can drive pile all year long. They were able to do that on the south half of the tunnel and actually expedite the schedule a little bit to get some of that construction done early. So the top right image is an image with that north half of the tunnel complete. And as I mentioned, with the 35 and 494 construction in the future, you can see roughly where that would touch down, which is where where westbound traffic is currently on now. The bottom right is an image inside that tunnel. Again, that's the tunnel where our buses will utilize, but additionally, bike and ped will be in there too. Next slide, please. As I just mentioned, we're able to advance construct some of this work with MnDOT allowing us to do the traffic in the temporary condition during the winter. So what you'll see here is images from the month of February out there, and you can see the right half of the tunnel itself. The footing has been poured, so the east footing has been poured with steel coming out of that. And on the left side of the image, or the west side on it, is crews placing pile for the west half of the tunnel. Since these images have been taken, crews have completed the west half of the tunnel footing as well as the steel, and they've started to concentrate on building the walls that the tunnel lid will ultimately sit on. So if you're down in that area and are able to take a look, that's what you'll see today. So next slide, please. The final package that I'll talk about is the stations package. And again, this is the package that our riders will see and appreciate on a daily basis as they're getting into our facilities. On the left side, you'll see some of the utility work that was required. These two images are both at the same location at the southbound Knox American station that we have planned there in Bloomington. And you can see crews digging around a significant amount of utilities. So just some of the things that contractors are up against during construction. But you can see on the right side, the footings and the foundations and the wall stems for our shelter at that location have been poured with the sidewalk behind it as well. And that's ultimately where that station will be located. Next slide, please. This slide shows our 98th Street, and for those on Transportation Committee, I updated and added a few new slides with some exciting things that have been happening out there lately. You'll see our 98th Street, which is connected to the South Bloomington Transit Center. The location on the left side shows the lighting that'll be a plaza space in between both northbound and southbound shelters. And then the image on the right actually shows some of our shelters being built. So that's something that we're really excited to see. That steel just came in within the last 3 weeks, and crews have started to erect that steel out there. Once they're done on 98th, they have plans to shift down to Knox and American in Bloomington, and they'll work their way throughout the corridor. So just some neat images. And of course, this image on the right was taken just after a snowfall, because they usually seem to be, when you want to get a good image of a facility, it always happens during snowfall. So next slide, please. We also wanted to throw in this image here of 66, and you could see it a little bit in the previous slide, but this is really what the final stations will look like out there. Much like a few of the LRT stations, it has a lot of those features of our metro lines, and something that our riders are used to seeing throughout our system, but will be pretty impressive when it's all said and done, and something, again, we're very excited to see happen. So, again, this is 66 in Richfield. Next slide, please. One thing we always like to talk about during our construction updates is DBE participation that we have as part of our projects. So anytime you drive by Lake Street Station, you can see all the large, massive amounts of steel. The steel was fabricated in America, in Wisconsin, and the contractor that we had out there is Bald Eagle Erectors. The value of their contract alone was over $3.5 million for steel erection. So just a great opportunity for a DBE contractor out on our projects, and one that we're very proud of. One that no doubt has a lasting effect on our community, and something that impacts quite a few people every day. So the image on the left is standing some of that main steel up on that 35W level. And as we sit here getting closer to summer, I like the umbrella in the top left picture, because it shows that worker is hiding from the sun. So the weather was warm when they were putting that in, and hopefully that's not too far away. Image on the right is down on Lake Street level. I'm looking up at the structure itself. So next slide, please. So I talked about the 3 different packages. The first one was with Bald Eagle. The image on the left here is Rice Lake Boring, who is also a DBE. And the work that they did here is they actually jack and augered a 42-inch water main that is a main feed into the city of Bloomington. So they pushed a 60-inch casing underneath 494 and pulled out all the sand that had been displaced by that casing and strung a 42-inch water main in there. Rice Lake Boring is a DBE. The value of this work was over $1.2 million. So again, an opportunity that, although this one won't be quite as seen as the Lake Street Steel was, this is one that no doubt impacts everybody in Bloomington as one of the 2 main water feeds out through the facility or through the city of Bloomington. So the image on the right, again, back to the third package, that is the package for all the temporary signage that's used, and Safety Signs is the DBE that did that, and their contract was valued over $250,000 on that project. So again, just more opportunities that we like to highlight and see happening. Next slide, please. So kind of next steps, what's planned? 2021 construction, everything is planned to be completed in 2021 with a revenue service date coming up in December of 2021. So very exciting stuff. Again, as mentioned here, completing the shelters with the steel placement, and really ongoing testing, commissioning, and bus route training and stuff throughout the coming months through the rest of this year. For the Knox project, completing that tunnel, getting the roadway ready, lighting, communication, and just some landscaping and restoration. So hope is to get that one done ahead of schedule originally and get our operators and operations out there. So next slide, please. With that, I'll gladly take any questions. We went through this, quite a few images. I know the presentation is saved on the website as well. Feel free to reach out to myself, Charles, others, if you have any additional questions. It's really fun to share these stories and fun to see it go through. And again, credit to everybody on our team that's put in the time to get us to where we are today, and look forward for a final update as we get ready into revenue service with Orange Line. So with that, I'll stand for any questions, Chair.
Great, thank you, Derek. Great presentation and great pictures. Questions from anybody? Thoughts? Ollie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Eric, for that presentation. It's just terrific. It just, and as has been said several times, it's so exciting to get to the finish line with these projects and to see them just about to cross the finish line. Hopefully, when life will be such that we can have a grand in-person ribbon cutting celebration. So it will be fun to get back to those as well. But thanks to you and to the entire team. I mean, this is such a critical part of our transportation network. And, you know, it serves not just the cities, not just the region, but the entire state. I mean, the build out of our entire system is critical. And so thank you. This was very exciting. It was a terrific presentation.
You realize how long the years it takes to both plan, pull together different jurisdictions. And I'm learning engineering is the small part, even though that seems incredibly dramatic. But I remember when we got the grant for opening up Marquette Avenue and some of those express lanes. That was back when the bridge fell down. So what year was that? That's kicks us all back. So great work to see us this close. Any other thoughts, questions? Robert?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair, and thanks for the presentation and to our staff for all the work on this. And, you know, just reflecting on the years it takes to bring a project like this forward. So I was on the Minneapolis City Council when the design work was being done. I lived about half a block from this site for 36 years. And kind of this project was one of the things that prompted me into a different level of public service. And I just want to thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, you played many roles around this coming to this design. And I really want to lift up the interjurisdictional cooperation and collaboration here, and having a transit station integrated into a freeway project. You have federal, state, regional, county, and municipal interests reflected here. It was kind of a bumpy ride getting to this integrated design, but really I think putting community building first in this kind of investment was critical, and especially for the community right around this area. And so I think it's just a really tremendous example of what we can accomplish when we all work together, and it's exciting to see it this far along. And the other thing I want to say is, I'm in a number of different conversations around the downtown interests. I represent most of the central business district in Minneapolis, and it's just been really notable how often the references to this station come up in conversations, and people are talking about it as a gateway and as iconic on the south approach to Minneapolis on the interstate. And so just to kind of, again, lift up the fact that we're trying to build place as well, right? When we make these kind of investments, and here I think we were tremendously successful. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments and placemaking. Absolutely. And think about how Lake Street, how important it is, and the transitions, and they said highways are big, clunky, dividing things, but that this actually becomes a node and an opening way of connection is really good design. Remarkable efforts on, as you point out, so many different jurisdictions. And we also gotta keep in mind the Beeline is going right all on that Lake Street where 21 is now, and that'll be enhanced service with a major focal point right there at that lake and 35. So that station will be more enhanced when that service comes up. Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Derek. I appreciate it, and I want to commend you for highlighting the DBE contractors. I think a lot of our discussions at the policy level are very high and abstract, but it's a good reminder to see the things manifest in pictures in these presentations. So thank you.
Anybody want a last question, word? All right, well, Derek, thank you so much. And Charles, we really are looking forward to that in-person ribbon cutting. I think Suvento has promised it, so we're going to do that. And somehow coming up before we know it. This brings us to the end of the meeting. Are there any reports that anybody wants to offer, share? The rain has stopped. How about Mary? Anything you'd like to share today?
Hello, Mr. Chair. Just a little update on our COVID vaccinations. I think I mentioned last meeting that we were opening up 1B and we were in line to get vaccinations. And as of yesterday, I think we have 38% of our Metro Transit operators who have signed up for their appointment. So we are moving along.
Great. That is huge news. Anne, any comments?
No report for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right. Well, I can safely say this is the day after my second shot, and even though I had chills and brain fog, I've got through it. It just shows it actually isn't that devastating, and I'm really thrilled. So get out there and get that, and I look forward to seeing you all around. And thank you for the meeting. And this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Good to see you.
Thank you.